Greetings, Crocodile Army. Well, it's Super Tuesday today, and voting in the primaries is underway in about a dozen states, including my home state of Virginia. Several times the delegates that have been awarded during this primary season before today are all going to be awarded on this one day. I don't like having to talk about Trump, but he's the front runner on the Republican side, and I think it serves the public interest better to shine a critical spotlight on our favorite orangish blonde-haired xenophobe. I could talk about all the nonsense he's recently been piling on to his pre-existing nonsense, but you can get that from the news. Oh, speaking of news, I'm here to give you the good news, and no, it's not about zombie Jesus coming back. Donald Trump will never become president of the United States. Obama said the same thing, and I believe he's right. In fact, I highly doubt that he even gets the nomination in the Republican primary. I still think that when all the votes have come in and the Republican establishment has had time to unload all of their weapons on Trump, he will not survive. The way the primaries work, even more this year than in 2012, there are a lot of winner-take-all primaries in the second half of the state's voting. California doesn't even vote until June, and it accounts for around 15% of the total votes one would need in order to win, and it's a winner-take-all primary. Even if Trump does fairly well today, none of those states are winner-take-all, leaving less of a deficit for the establishment to come back from later, or cause a brokered convention where nobody gets enough to win outright, meaning that Rubio would eventually win. Plus, Cruz is likely to win Texas, the biggest prize of the day, denying Trump a lot of those delegates. Trump's early success has finally kicked the rest of the Republican field into action, and I think Rubio will eventually get the nomination, which I've been predicting since before the first vote was cast. And sadly, I think Rubio would likely beat either Bernie or Hillary. Yes, I can already hear you finding polls to link me about how Bernie or Hillary will beat Rubio. It's certainly possible, yes, and I hope you're right. Polling can tell you a lot, but we are way too far from November now for any of them to be any more than a snapshot, because a million unknowns will intervene between now and then. Bernie and Hillary are both candidates with significant weaknesses in a general election that Obama did not have. Hillary is a pro and she knows how to handle herself in a campaign, but nobody draws out conservative hatred like she does. She'll face an energized Republican base along with a significant number of Bernie voters who will not vote for her because she said mean things about her opponent in a political contest. I know. She also has the email scandal to contend with, which has contributed to the untrustworthiness label on her. I hear a lot made about how her past views were conservative back in 1972, but that doesn't carry much weight to me. Bernie has some people very energized, and that base is highly committed, and that's great. But he seems unable to broaden that base to minorities and older voters, both significant voting blocs in the general election. I have a hard time seeing Bernie carrying Ohio or Florida or Virginia, and that's exactly where he needs to win. I think Bernie's civil rights activism and many of his domestic policy positions are admirable, but I'm a lot less sold on his foreign policy credentials. I don't want endless war, but with all the muscle flexing going on in the world, I'm not sure if he's sturdy enough to counter it. If there's one thing I know about the Crocodile Army, I know a lot of you are idealists, and a majority of you are Bernie supporters, some of whom said they will not vote for Hillary if Bernie doesn't get the nomination, trying to sell the rest are all the same narrative. Some of you have even said they'll let it get worse by electing a Republican on purpose, and then surely they will rush to the left when things don't go well the next election cycle. Unfortunately, it doesn't tend to work that way. Politicians can find a million excuses for why things go wrong. Metaphorically, Obama is the dam holding back a lake full of raw sewage right now, and he has been for the last 7+ years. The Republican Congress has been working to dismantle the ACA and shift the tax burden away from the wealthy. The next president may have a Supreme Court vacancy to fill immediately. Rubio and Cruz have both said they would like to see the same-sex marriage bans back in effect for states that want it. Whether it be Bernie or Hillary, I'll do my best to make sure that one of them replaces Obama. I can't let millions suffer just because my feelings are hurt. Can you?